the modding is starting to pick up, actually. So I made the video 2 days ago about mods starting to be added, and I showed you off the color changing fix, which, by the way, helps people with color blindness. For those people who thought I was just moaning because I didn't like certain colors. But anyway, let's get on with today's video, because after I posted that, there was a whole load of stuff that happened on the modding scene, particularly one guy who's been doing loads and loads of work, but also FM Career, Sort It Out SI, Arthur's team as well, have been creating loads and loads of stuff. Now, the thing to bear in mind is a lot of this stuff is reversed or could be fixed by the patches that Sports Interactive are chucking out. So every time they chuck out a patch, you have to do it. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, maybe wait a few days, particularly until after launch or until after a couple of stability patches, because otherwise you're just going to have to do it again, unless it's really important to you or you just want to test out. There is also some caveats to all this. First, don't download anything you don't trust off of the internet. Can I tell you can trust any of these things? No, don't listen to me on whether you can trust these things. You're going to have to make your own judgment, risk judgment, assessment judgment on whether you want to download these things. There is a 100% chance, 99% chance, 100%, 100% chance, yeah, it's a chance that these could be some kind of Trojan horse virus, whatever. So yes, caveat explained. Let's go have a look at some mods. Okay, here we go. So our first one I'm going to start with actually is the same one I showed you the other day, but it is now in English. Very handy, right? You wouldn't have to translate it like I did with my phone the other day. Sort Out SI have put, get rid of that. Sort Out SI have put out a English language version. So if you want to go download that, and it tells you where you put the details. I think it might be slightly improved because it doesn't seem to have to tell you where to put things. Maybe it does, but the attribute color, Sort It Out SI have put out their own version of that, which is in English. So that makes things a little bit easier for those of us who aren't fluent in Korean. Now this one is FM Korea. They also did what's called the 1.5 speed patch. Now a lot of you have been complaining about the speeds. Some of you think 1.25 is too slow in match, 1.75 is too fast, and you would much prefer 1.5, and this also allows for other game speeds, 1.3, 1.7, 30 times, 50 times, 100 times, and 500 times in the highlights as well. 500 times isn't recommended. They write it here as the shit computer. An error may occur where the stadium doesn't appear. So you can imagine sometimes why Football Manager and Sports Interactive don't put these things into the game by default. But here we go. I mean, maybe 1.5 should be in there. Let's have a look. So this is, they've put it in the settings. You can change it to here you go. You see they've got up to 30 times speed. They've changed the base settings for the speed files in the game. And you can see there it is playing out super fast. Something super interesting about this video. So it wasn't until someone sent this back to me on Twitter, and if that was you, thank you very much. But this isn't the UI that I've been playing with, or any of us been playing with, right? I mean, maybe because it's on a narrower screen. I don't know what happens. So actually, I'm thinking of testing this and seeing what happens when you play on a narrow screen, because I don't get a large vertical playing pitch, right? Like one tab over here, one over here, and just the player advice here. Like that's completely different to what we've seen, right? And I mean I have to assume that's not Korean only. So I found that kind of interesting that they have this different UI. So I'm going to test that very shortly. I've just been looking through the other FM Korea ones as well. There's some other interesting ones. So this one's sort of a translation file, and well, it actually renames what the attributes are called. This is something we've never really discussed about in English language and in the English community. But they have stuff like, so they've changed first touch, for example, to ball trapping, off the ball to attack positioning, acceleration to instantaneous velocity. Although, admittedly, some of these things may also be lost in translation. They're translating them to slightly different Korean terms. But I just found it interesting that these things were retranslated. That is now put as like 1-to-1. Now, any of you familiar with the real-time editor? It looks like the real-time editor could be back, which, yeah, is going to open up a lot of possibilities for people who want to mess around with their game as it's running. And sometimes with things, I mean, sometimes you just need the in-game editor, and I would fully recommend, if you are going to do the real-time editor, please go buy the in-game editor and support the devs. Regardless of what you think of this year's game, please support the devs who build the game. But yeah, the real-time editor, I think you also have to pay for the real-time editor or there's just a demo version if you don't pay. I don't know what it's like right now, but yeah, it looks like the real-time editor is up and running in FM26. There's even a patch here that fixed the current status league table, although that was an update today, so I'd imagine in the actual game, so I imagine I think this is still relevant, but I think, no, this is now, yeah, this is on the new patch. I think this is the new version. So yeah, what it needs is like I mean, I don't know if I like it with Eng down the side there, but it's yeah, it's updated, it's changed it. So if the league tables bother you, you know, go have a look what's in these patches as well. Now this one's interesting. If you'd like an adjustable window mode, because one of the things you might notice if you put your game into window mode, it's locked to a particular size or unlocked frame limit mode. And the frame limit one's interesting because I found out if you have a 120 or 240 hertz monitor and you go in and you turn on VSync, I can't remember which round it is, if you turn on VSync, then it will unlock your frame rate to that new frame rate. But if you don't, or your monitor is some other value, then it won't. It's going to lock you at 60. So yeah, this will unlock that melon loader. You can actually use it for loads of other games as well. But it's going to let you change the windows, and it'll just say not compatible with existing saves, which I don't quite know how that works. How does it not compatible with existing saves? What does it do to an existing save? But yeah, this is the melon loader. You can go in and you can make some adjustments to how the operating file works. Operating file? I don't know if that's the right term. Here we go. So we have changes to the fonts in the game. Look at that. That Liverpool is clean actually, right? Now, unfortunately, this is in Korean right now, so it's mainly working, I believe, with sort of Korean fonts, but I might try this and see if this works on English language or if it messes up on English language. But yes, it will change the fonts in the game so that you have better fonts. I don't know if you don't want Impact anymore and you want a slightly cleaner or a slightly different font. I mean, Impact is a clean font, but it's overused in my opinion. So there is some stuff happening on the font front. Here's another one, for example, the FM26 Suite font. And you can see, again, it changes the fonts. Unfortunately, again, these are all in Korean, but you can imagine it might change as things go. Now, one of the guys who's been doing loads of stuff is Bassyboy. He posts a load of stuff, and he appears to be over in the Netherlands. He has a YouTube channel. Please go subscribe to his YouTube channel. There is there. I'm subscribed. He's massively growing on YouTube, but on X, I think he had like, when I first found him yesterday, he had like 600 followers. He's now got nearly 10,000 followers in a day, which I mean, and he's building all these little bits, you know, playing around with it. So let's have a look at some of the stuff him alone has done in about 46 hours. And okay, I want you to bear one thing in mind. Everyone goes, why can't Sports Interactive do this? Sometimes there are reasonable reasons. Sometimes it's a case of they are actually focused right now. They have resource limits and they are probably focused on other things like fixing bugs. So, you know, I'm not trying to excuse the state in which the game is in. And let's have a look in. So we start here. So he's created a mod to install new GAN faces, and he's done a couple of videos on it. If you want to know how to do that, I'm not going to cover it in this video because he's done videos and he deserves full credit for this. But essentially what happens in the game is, at the minute, I think there is a predetermined file of new gen faces in the Unity folder structure, and you can basically go replace it with a relatively low small file size file, go put it in there, and that is going to be, it's going to give you much more realistic new gen faces. I think they should map to the right nationalities and everything as well. So he's got a video that explains all of that. If you want to go do that, I'm probably going to do it myself once the update has come out for the new game at least. And after that, we'll see. He's also messed around with this UI speed. So you can see here, the UI he's switching between them at a, you know, I think he said 200% faster. Now, the thing to bear in mind, and you might notice it on these screens, and the reason why there is a delay, you know, it's not he hasn't improved it per se. I mean, he has, clearly, but what happens with the Unity engine is, if you're on it doesn't matter what speed machine you're on, actually. It does matter what speed machine you're on, but what happens is Sports Interactive implemented an artificial delay for the switching of screens. so that when you switch a screen, it loads everything in at once. So what would happen if you run his version here? And in fact, you can see it in a few spots. But if you ran his version here on, particularly on a slower or older machine, what you're going to see is something on the left side of the screen appears, then something on the right side of the screen, then something else appears, right? Not everything doesn't come up at once, smooth and clean. Everything's just going to appear when it's loaded. And that's why there's the artificial delay to sort of hide that jarringness of everything appearing at different times. So this does make it snappier, and because it shows stuff when it loads. The trade-off is it doesn't necessarily look cleaner, but if you think the menus are particularly laggy at the minute and you have a fast PC where it's not going to make much of a difference, then this might be the kind of thing that you need for your PC. If you've got a slow laptop of some kind or slow device, I would not be, I mean, you can try it, sure, but have a think about it. So yeah, 200% speed increase. Yeah, look, it's like loading the stuff in. I mean, the stuff's loading in instant on his PC, but the pages are loading in straight away. Now, something he's asking for is if people can help him make new game faces for particularly female players, because that is something he hasn't got the files for, and no one's made those before. Obviously, we had a big projects in the past, some led by Zealand, some led by other people, to create AI faces for the game. And also bear in mind, think about, I want you to think about whether you actually want AI created faces in your game. If that's a problem for you, then, obviously don't install them. Now, sortitoutsi do have his original speed patch and a slightly adjusted one as well on their website that lets you adjust a whole load of bits and adjust the transition time. So you can set it for how you like. One of the interesting things, and I think maybe this opens up a lot of possibilities, is this like mapping of stadiums. Now, Sports Interactive is never going to do stadiums for licensing reasons, mainly that stadiums, the license for a stadium does not necessarily lie with a club. Sometimes it lies with an architect or multiple architects. Different bits of the stadiums were built at different times. There are obviously licensing companies that deal with that, but it's just financially, especially for a game like Football Manager, it's not. I mean, even FIFA probably has like some top stadiums, and then beyond that, they don't bother, and they keep the licenses for ones they've already modeled. But after that, it's just not worth licensing them. In Football Manager, we're probably never going to see it unless there's some change in the way in which licensing stadiums into the game works, because those are the architect's property. The design is the architect's property rather than the club. In most cases, I'm sure there are some cases where clubs have bought that out from the architects or whatever, but the architects tend to retain the control of the design. And if you're recreating a 3D design of it, that then falls under sort of kind of legal issues. So there's a reason we'll probably never see stadiums officially in the game. Doesn't mean we're not going to see them unofficially. So Bassyboy just pulled this out. Now, something else you will notice, and something he's put out, is if I can find a good screen here, for example, right, is he's actually managed to put custom backgrounds into the game as well. Again, that requires messing around in the little Unity files, but if you want to, you can get custom backgrounds and look at this, custom color changes and all sorts into the game. I'm not sure that is pleasing on the eye, but yeah, look at this. All these kind of little skinning things that he's put out here. You can see you can mess around here with like the position of the manager in the room, like the stuff that is already people are able to get into. This is looking around the town where the stadium is. I mean, that's kind of built out. That's more built out than I imagined the backgrounds to the stadiums to be, but it's yes, the ceiling for this now is increasing at a rate I did not expect. So yeah, big credit to Bassyboy. Please go give him a follow. Go give his YouTube doesn't have enough followers. I mean, the videos that he's put out yesterday, and although that one's hit 27k, but these ones I'm glad to see they have started to make some traction, because at first the YouTube videos themselves weren't getting much traction. So I'm glad to see they are including that how to change your FM26 backgrounds one, and the how to make your own custom new game packs as well. So big stuff happening on that front. Now, obviously, there is Arthur's project, which I highlighted yesterday, and some other community projects. I think the FM Editors Library or something. Sort It Out SI have been doing, always doing something. So they've got all the details and decompiling stuff you need if this is the area of work you are familiar with. I mean, as Bassyboy says, you gotta go in and get stuck in to find out what stuff is. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, so I'd probably be a bit lost. But it's a 20. I was gonna say, what are we in 21st century? I'm sure I could go use ChatGPT to at least help me translate some of the terminology. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff on the modding front already. I think particularly Bassyboys stuff has been really good. Some of the stuff that we're seeing come on Sort It Out SI and on FM Korea, and I think keeping an eye on Arthur Ray's project as well, French content creator. If you're not familiar with him, so he's already looking at things like 3D kits, stuff like that. So there's some really cool stuff that is already happening. Custom match speed and highlights. Yeah, you can see already he's managed to change it. You see it, you can see though it's a little bit buggy, right? Like watch how the bars bugs out a little bit as it goes up and down. But here we go. Well, there we go. So modding scene is opening up. There's lots of interesting stuff happening. Tomorrow I'm going to have a video on why you feel the way you do about Football Manager. I'm not going to tell you how you should feel. I want to be very, very clear on that. But yeah, this has been a not so fun, also fun week. We're just over a week now, aren't we? A fun week, especially as a content creator, a relatively small one. But with the FM show pod and everything, and we ended up, to be honest, we ended up not recording our pod tonight because we were just super burned out by some of the engagement from some of the community. So tomorrow I'm going to put out a video. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll be taking a big risk on it, but yeah, please check that out. I think I sort of want to explore why people feel the way they do about Football Manager and why they have such strong opinions, and maybe sometimes why they are a little bit vocal about them. Anyway, I'm going to send you across. If you didn't see my video yesterday, that's going to be here. If not, I'm going to send you across to a video here, which are going to be one of my, I think, about the match engine. The match engine, hopefully they fix this for Tuesday, but there's some big issues in it right now, I think. Anyway, ciao. Thank you very much. Give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. There's been loads of new people in the channel, in Twitch as well. I'm streaming tonight, Friday. Come join me, Twitch. See you there. Bye.